Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna. If you're new here, I do makeup reviews, makeup tutorials, skincare, anything beauty related. I got you covered. Today's video we are going to talk about an extremely popular launch that I'm just a little bit late on. We're going to cover the e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation. I got mine off of Ulta. Just a quick heads up. Elfcosmetics, like their website, completely sold out of like every single shade. So if you're lucky, you may be able to get it on Ulta. That's where I got mine. Couple things. I'm just to kind of quickly give you the rundown of the video. We're gonna talk about details. We're gonna swatch. I'm gonna try it on, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you're new here, this may be a bit of a surprise. I'm sorry, if you're not new here, this may be a bit of a surprise because I typically don't go for powdered foundations, but this did catch my eye. I see that it's getting pretty good reviews, so of course I had to jump on it. Now, I picked up the shade 240W, which is the exact same shade that I have in the liquid one. This is what it looks like. And underneath, it has a little sponge that you can apply it with. This does retail for $11, which is pretty reasonable, especially for drugstore. It is talc free, which is amazing because most powder products do contain talc in it, so that's huge. It promises a semi-matte finish. Is a primer infused pressed powder. It delivers buildable coverage with an airbrush finish, and it's apparently good for all skin types. Now, I am dry, I'm not oily, so I'm curious to see how it's gonna sit on my skin. Yeah, let's swatch it real quick for you. So I'm going to come in close again. This is the color. And it's very, very silky. Look at that. And I'm just going to put some over here. It feels very soft. Blends out nicely. I definitely feel like it's going to be buildable. Now my hands are dry, like pretty dry, and it's sitting nicely on the skin. So let's put it on. I think my lights are a little bit too bright. I'm going to dim them just a little bit. That's better. It's a little more true to color. I am going to just prep my skin really quick. I'm going to use my Jones Road Miracle Cream. I'm going to use a little bit because this is a pretty emollient moisturizer. Now with powders, I typically prefer using a brush and kind of like buffing it on. But from what I'm seeing like on TikTok and what I'm seeing here on YouTube, a lot of people actually prefer the finish with a sponge. Alright, this moisturizer is super emollient, so let me just really work it in so that it's not too sticky. Now to try this on. I'm going to use my Japanesque brush to apply it on. This is sort of like, it's a little flexible, a little dense. It's like right there in the middle. Now, like I mentioned before, this is the same shade I have in the foundation, so hopefully it works. I like that there's a mirror here, so I'm actually going to use this mirror. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to just press. Well, okay, so there's a nice little kickback when you do push. I don't know if you guys can see that. And I'm going to start here. Just buff it in. Got some powdery. I feel like the match is pretty good. It's got enough yellow in it because I do have a yellow undertone. Let's just go on my forehead. I would say the color is matching me pretty well, even like on my forehead, which is usually a darker part of my face. Let me get in close so you can see what's going on. I think it looks pretty good. It doesn't really look like a powder. And I'm just taking some too underneath my eye just to see what the coverage is going to be. Alright, now I'm going to take the spongy part. It's a nice like super soft sponge, very like cloudy feeling. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to do that and I'm just gonna swipe on my face and see how the coverage is. So this is the more problematic area of my face. It's always more textured, more red. Definitely applies heavier than the brush, which is interesting. So the coverage is definitely a lot more with the sponge than the brush, but it still looks nice. It almost has like this creamy finish to it, which is interesting. It's funny, when I saw the color in the pan, I was like, oh, that's really yellow, but I'm yellow, so it works. I'm curious how this would look if you wet the sponge. I don't know why. Alright, so this is sponge application. You could see that the coverage is definitely more. I think, okay, so with the sponge application, I could see that it's kind of clinging to parts of my face. I'm not crazy about that. Let me just go with the brush and buff that out. Now, it could just be that I don't like using sponges on my face, so maybe my application is a little bit awkward, but there's something about using a brush to just blend everything out that I like a lot. Let's get in. I think, again, I still prefer the side with the brush. It just blended everything out nicely. The side with the sponge, I just feel like it kind of caked it on a little bit. Again, my skin is textured, and I just feel like you could see that. I just don't like the way that's sitting, but that's a sponge application. Now I'm curious, so I just want to see how it applies with the wet sponge. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to wet it with some rose water. I'm going to take the part that I already applied, I'm going to come in and we're just going to press it in and see what happens. Alright, I'm going to take that again. I'm going to dip it into this foundation here. Maybe don't do that. Don't do that. I think wetting the sponge and going on top looks nice. Do not wet the sponge and put it on your face. That was just like a thought experiment that I had. But yeah, I think after, if you wet the sponge just a little bit, or maybe you just use like a spray on your face, I think it looks nice. Definitely applies too much on my face with the sponge when it was dry. Again, I'm just gonna come up here and just show you how it's like clinging onto those areas. I don't like that. This side is better with the brush. I think if you're oily, you may like it with the sponge because it's going to help to absorb the oil and kind of put the product on nicer. I think if you're dry, not so much. So, overall thoughts. Okay, I'm in need of bronzer. This matched me really well. Okay, final thoughts. For powder foundation, it's very, very beautiful. I like how it's not very heavy on my skin, especially, again, the side that I used to brush on. I think it looks nice. It looks very soft. It's even out my skin nicely. There is like a little bit of a radiance to it, so it is a true semi-matte like it claims to be. I don't like it with a sponge. I think it applies it too heavy. My skin is dry in texture though, so that's a me problem. But I definitely would use this on the go quick. I think this is something I could keep in my bag with like a little brush to kind of dust and even myself out. The color match is really good. It matches me nicely. It matches like this whole situation here. I just need bronzer for sure. But I think for $11, and I think like the quality and like the way the formula feels, it's really nice. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, get it, try it. If you don't like it, you can always return it, but I would get it from Ulta if you can. That way you can return it. But I think it's beautiful. And try to go with the color. If you already have the Camo CC cream, try to go with the color that you have there with this, because I would say it matches up very well. Yeah, otherwise, it's good. I like it. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.